What is going on, guys? The Inside the Blue podcast, and today we have a Giants post-game reaction against the Carolina Panthers. They lose in overtime. Giants lose in Germany, early morning game, and they lose. And if there's something that frustrates Giants fans more than ever, it's the fact that we're still throwing Daniel Jones out there every single week. And I know a lot of people are really starting to get on Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen and this whole quote-unquote process because we'd obviously like it to go faster and quicker after they made the 2022 playoffs. We would have seen a step forward in the right direction, but now we're taking steps back, and we also lost to the worst team ever. Like, the worst team ever. The Carolina Panthers are not good in a single category. And I think going into this week, they allowed 32 points a game. I think it was something like drastic. Like, they are in their own category. And the Giants lose to them, and they lose in overtime, and they lose quickly in overtime, right? Tracy fumbles the football, they recover it, and a simple field goal. They run a few plays to get closer to the field goal, and they kick it, and that's the game. Daniel Jones is going to be the main talking point of this episode, and I think it's come clear that I wasn't a fan of the contract. I did not think that it was going to be $40 million, and this is probably going down as one of the worst contracts in Giants history. The Nate Soldier contract was bad. The Kenny Golladay contract was bad in recent memory. And now you throw $40 million to a quarterback that in the year he only had 15 touchdowns. Now, I know he didn't turn over the football very much, but it's frustrating. And I don't like to bring up 2022 ever, but that's how he got his contract. That's how Daniel Jones got his extension, that 4-year, $160 million deal. That's the biggest thing, is that contract set the Giants back. Set the Giants back. Nearly said Yankees there, but regardless, that contract set the Giants back, right? They couldn't re-sign Xavier McKinney. They weren't probably ever going to re-sign Saquon. And they also lost Julian Love. Those are the three big names that I really point out. Their secondary is terrible. Their secondary is awful. And I think it's pretty clear that we miss Xavier McKinney and Julian Love. We probably do somewhat miss Leonard Williams, even though Dexter Lawrence has been awesome. We miss a lot of these players that unfortunately we had to part ways with. And that's all part of the business and everything. But I guess getting back into the game, what real positives came out of that game? The fact that now you have a top 2 pick in the draft, and now you have the real chance to get your hands on a Shedeur Sanders, who's very talented. You get your hands on a Cam Ward, who's very talented. I know some people are 50-50 with Cam Ward, but he's still an NFL prospect, and he's still having a good year in University of Miami, Florida. But maybe a Jalen Milroe. I think those are the 3 guys that the Giants are like, we're going to get one of these 3 guys, and it's a real chance that they could turn around the franchise. We've seen teams just draft a QB, and all of a sudden things start to fall in place. Jaden Daniels turned a horrific Washington team into a team that is 7-3. I think if the Giants can get a Jalen Milroe, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, whoever, Brian Daboll can work with that, and he can evaluate that quarterback, and the Giants can actually have an offense. This game alone showed how much Daniel Jones has held back this franchise. And the franchise does not deserve this at all. They don't deserve this at all. The Giants are historically known for having a good franchise. These past 20 years-ish, I'd say, besides the 2 championships, have been okay. It has not been good. And honestly, in recent... 2022 was fun, but then you go back a few years ago, many years ago, they didn't make the playoffs for a while. So I think Brian Daboll is frustrated with Daniel Jones. I think this was the final straw of Daniel Jones. If he can't beat the Carolina Panthers, then he can't beat anybody. Because now you're officially worse than the Carolina Panthers. You're officially worse than a team that has no business in this game. The Giants should have realistically won this football game. Granted, Daniel Jones can't create a drive and without throwing an interception in the red zone twice. He threw it twice. I don't really know. And honestly, obviously the Giants are going to cut Daniel Jones bearing any injuries. What is the future with Daniel Jones as an NFL quarterback? Because we've seen with a wide receiver one in Malik Nabers and a serviceable offensive line, he still can't do it. There was a play that Daniel Jones had all the time in the world. And Nabers had this out route to the sideline. And Rich Eisen's like, Daniel Jones absolutely airmails a wide open Malik Nabers. Then we go to the flea flicker play on 3rd and 1. It's a trick play. They think it's a run. Daniel Jones has enough time to hit Wan'Dale Robinson or Malik Nabers, and he doesn't do either. Pretty sure he took a sack, or it was either a sack or ball was thrown away. Now Daboll had some conversations with Jones after that play and overall in the game. But when is it officially going to be the time that he's gone? That he is officially on the bench, riding the bench, and we're seeing Drew Lock / Tommy DeVito. Now, if there's one thing that I'll honestly say, and this isn't in purpose of tanking, but I think Daboll continues to throw Daniel Jones out every single week because he knows out of the 3 QBs, Daniel Jones probably gives them the worst odds to win a football game. I think you have better odds with Drew Lock, and I think you have better odds with Tommy DeVito. Daniel Jones cannot function. He has zero confidence, and benching him is probably what's best for his time here. Benching him, I don't know how long they bench him. Maybe it's just a week. Maybe it's 2 weeks. But right now, honestly, this team is on pace for 2 wins. I was watching an account, and they said the Giants are going to finish 2-15, and I actually call them somewhat crazy. Now I'm starting to see that might be the harsh reality, that this team might only win 2 games. I'm looking at their schedule. They still have to play the Eagles again at Lincoln Financial. They have to play Dallas on Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure they have to play Baltimore. So that alone is already terrifying. I don't remember the rest of their schedule. They're done with the Commanders. They have 1 game against both NFC East teams. They are done. They are done. They are done. The Daniel Jones experiment ended in Germany. And it's frustrating to just talk about. Not much high vibes. I haven't even went live for a game because, quite honestly, I don't really want to watch a live stream, have a live stream, set it all up, and have you guys watch that because it's just so embarrassing of how we play. It's so embarrassing because the offense can't score. They're averaging 14 points a game, which is like 31st in the NFL. The defense really didn't do much against Bryce Young. Bryce Young actually played a pretty good football game. And I mean, Dexter Lawrence was creating stuff. Brian Burns had a sack. I think Kayvon Thibodeau's returning after the bye week, and he'll take on with the Bucs. But the Bucs are still a good football team. They only lost 3. They lost by 3 to the 49ers. And that's without Mike Evans. That's without Chris Godwin. The secondary is trash for the New York Giants. We didn't even really get into the trade deadline talk. I'm very disappointed that Joe Schoen didn't make a move, but maybe the asking price was just absurd. Because Joe Schoen, in his Giants tenure, has been pretty good with trades. Got a 2nd and a 5th for Brian Burns. Got a 2nd and a 5th for Leonard Williams, I believe, or some sort of trade like that. It was a good trade. Giants fans, from me to you, I am sorry. I probably shouldn't be the one apologizing. The process with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, I'll say it every time. It's more of a Joe Schoen issue than a Brian Daboll. I'll say that every time. I think I put more blame on Joe Schoen than Brian Daboll. Because ultimately, Joe Schoen creates this team for the most part. Brian Daboll calls the plays, he makes the playbook, all that type of stuff. There's been a lot of bad play calling. But then again, look who you're working with. I think you have two solid wide receivers in Wan'Dale and Malik Nabers. You have a very good running back in Tyrone Tracy. He's been very good this year. And I think if he played a full season, I think he'd honestly be on pace for a 900-yard season. I don't really know where to go from here. You got the bye week. You don't have to watch the Giants this upcoming week. It's for the better. And I think, at least I hope and pray that I don't see Daniel Jones playing a game against the Buccaneers, and I believe MetLife. The guy can't score touchdowns. 0 passing touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown, there was a field goal, and a Tyrone Tracy big-time run touchdown. Other than that, it's been nothing. No passing touchdowns. I mean, he had a passing touchdown against Theo Johnson and like their second-string tight end against the Commanders. Whatever. It's sickening that I have to watch this $40 million man do this to our franchise and ruin it and crush it. It's very frustrating. The fact that this leash was on Daniel Jones for 6 years is honestly crazy. They should have moved on from him a long time ago. We'd probably have a much better team in front of us if we didn't have the Daniel Jones contract. I'm very excited for the draft, but I have to wait a very, very, very long time for the NFL draft. I guess that's going to do it. It's a very unfortunate video. Another losing video. I really don't know if it's even worth doing preview podcasts for the New York Football Giants. Because in all honesty, what is there to look forward to in every week? To see us lose? To see Daniel Jones put out a terrible product on the field? I mean, I guess if there's a positive, Evan Neal played good. He had an 84 PFF grade. I guess to slot that in at the end. So that's cool. Granted, you're playing the Carolina Panthers, so I don't know how impressive it is. And I don't think you're not playing a good pass rush. But yeah, that's going to do it. I'll see you guys in the next one, and let's go Big Blue.